Hello, my soul family. I hope today is bringing you all wellness. I want to ask you, how are you at trusting people? There are some people who trust everybody, and I'm sure you know some people like this, and maybe that's you. Where when you feel a connection with someone, the next thing you know is you're telling them every deep, dark secret you ever had, letting them know all your innermost feelings and thoughts, only come to find out very soon in the near future they're using some of that against you. Or there's other people like I used to be, where maybe you've had some pain in your life, you've had some people that you should have been able to trust, whether it be a parent or a relationship that went bad, and you end up getting hurt. And so you put up a big old brick fortress around you. And you're like, don't let anyone in. Because I ain't letting them in because they're going to hurt me. Well, the problem with that is if you don't let anybody in, you're not going to experience love. So you're protecting yourself, but you're protecting yourself from feeling the greatest feeling in the world, which is love. So how do you trust? And how do you trust in a healthy way? So you're not allowing yourself to be exposed or hurt in ways by others. So that would be, you need to have your own back and be picky about who you're letting in, how far you're letting them in, and have they earned some trust? Do you know them well enough? Because a lot of times we'll meet someone and we just hit it off with them so well, it just feels like you want to open all up to them. And there's nothing wrong with spending a lot of time with someone if you do have those initial feelings and getting close. But, you want to take your time to assess that person and how they're behaving and not let just your emotions rule it. You got to use your mind, which I tell you sometimes tricks you, but sometimes can be helpful to be evaluating, is this the type of person that can be trusted? Now, say you say yes, that's no guarantee that you aren't going to get hurt in that relationship, because people are meant to be in our life a lot of times for certain times, but maybe not our whole life. Actually, there's very few people that are meant to be in our life from beginning to end. So if you look over your life and you've had a lot of different relationships in and out, different friendships or different relationships, there's nothing wrong with that. And we can learn from every relationship we've been in, whether it be a friendship, even if it goes bad. Actually, a lot of times if it goes bad, that's what we can learn, is the things that we don't want, or the things that we want to be a little more careful to make sure that that doesn't happen again. But again, be more careful, not put up a brick wall. So I have a little diagram to kind of explain this a little bit to you. You can see my imperfect, perfect circle, because I tell you there's no perfection in life, right? And I would say this is your life, okay? And this middle circle would indicate who can you trust to be there for you 100% of the time. Like, you're having a bad day or you're having a breakdown. You want to be vulnerable. You want to open up to somebody. Who can you trust 100% of the time? Now, most of you, unless you've done this exercise with me before, are probably thinking of people to put in there, like your spouse or your parent or maybe a child or a sibling. And I would tell you, nope. And you'd be like, why? And I would say, well, because to expect any other human being to be there for you 100% of the time is totally not going to happen, and you will get hurt when they're not able to be there for you. And it might just be that, they love you, but maybe they can't emotionally handle what it is you're going through. Or maybe they are emotionally unavailable because they had a rough day themselves. Or they just might not physically be there. You might really need them and you can't get through to them. They're at work or they're out of town. So, or say if it's a parent, maybe it's, you trust your parents. You feel like you trust them 100% of the time. But maybe there's some things you don't feel comfortable sharing with them. So there's really nobody that you should trust 100% of the time, except for, I should have wrote that a little darker, you, yourself. Because if you can connect up with your soul, and that's the other one that goes in there, Source, God, your soul can give you answers and help guide you in the right direction. And that is something that can be accessed 100% of the time. You have to quiet down and find some space to meditate or prayer or however it is that you like to access that source, and be open and receptive to listening to the answers that come, which aren't always so blatant. Sometimes they come in very soft messages, so you'd have to listen. So you can trust you, hopefully 100% of the time, when you learn to set healthy boundaries. Source is there for you 100% of the time to be accessed if you can learn to access it. And then I also have pets in here because that is something I do believe. I know my pets have been there for me 100% of the time. As long as they're physically, you're able to be with them like you're home and they're home. They'll even wake up to be there for you. So that's why our pets are so amazing. This second circle would be people that you can trust a good part of the time. And that should include all your close family and friends, your spouse, significant other. And they might fall in different spots. Like maybe you're super close with your mom, so she's going to go here. And maybe you're close with your dad, but not as close, so then maybe he would go out here a little further out. And then same with friends. You'll have friends that you'll notice some will go here, some will go there. And then your third circle would be more of like acquaintances, co-workers. Get that a little closer. It's not so important that you can read this, is just to follow and understand where I'm going. And someday I might get more professional on my little doodads, but not tonight. So this last circle would be more like acquaintance, co-workers. And, there's nothing wrong with going out, socializing, having a great time, having a few drinkies with them, but you don't want to get so loosey-goosey that you open up and let them know every inner thought and deep, dark secret that you have, because you don't really know them well enough and you don't know what they're going to do with your information that you give them. So one is to understand that there's different levels of where we have our relationships in our life. If you trust everybody and they're all in your circle, that's just really not healthy. But if this is all a great big fortress and everybody's out here, then you're not having any really good, healthy relationships. Now, having said that, if you would sit and actually make one out for yourself, what you'll realize as you're filling it in is that some of these people that were here have moved to here. Or maybe say you were married and, your spouse was like right there. You had a super close relationship for a while. And then you ended up getting divorced. And I don't know, maybe you stayed good friends with them, so they're here. Or maybe you're just cordial with them and you have to deal with them and they might be here. Or they could be out here, they could be off the page. Like, I don't ever want to talk to that person again after what they did to me. So you will see people move around in your circle. And same with close friends and family members. You might have been really close with a sibling and then something happened or they moved away or, and then you just found you're not confiding in them as much. And so maybe they move out here, or maybe, you got into a big fight and they're over here. But because there's some, and, on a rare occasion, you might want to cut someone off, but that's extreme. That's if somebody that they're absolutely toxic for you 100% of the time. Or there could be other reasons that you need to cut people out of your life temporarily. But know that you can bring them back. Like you might have had a friend that you were really close with and then maybe you went off to college different ways, didn't talk that much. They end up here. Then you end up back in the same town. You reconnect and they're back here. Or you broke up with someone and you ended up getting back together, then they're going to move back in. So the two main things I want you to get out of this is, one, who you can trust, 100% of the time. That's you. You got to have your own back. If you put that on somebody else, you are going to be disappointed, because that's just not, it's not even fair to expect somebody to be there 100% of the time for you. No matter who it is, whether it's a parent. I mean, parents are humans, children are humans, spouses are humans, so we're all not perfect, so it's just impossible for us to be there 100% of the time. So one is to know that you can trust you and source 100% of the time. And like I said, then maybe pets if you're a pet person. The second thing I want you to get from this, and that doesn't mean you shouldn't trust these other people, but you just know that they're there. Certain people are there for different things at different times, because you might be real close with your mom, but you might have a subject with her that you're not comfortable talking about. So you're going to go over here to your girlfriend and talk to her about it, or you're going to decide to talk to your spouse about it. Or maybe you had a fight with your spouse, and I would suggest then don't tell your mom, because I don't think it's good to vent to parents about, when you have a fight with your spouse, because they have to interact with your parents, and you don't want your parents to have this view of them all the time of this 1-2 negative things that you've told them when you were in a bad mood. So that might be maybe better to tell a friend, somebody that can listen and be there for you, or your counselor. Maybe you have a counselor that's in here. So the first thing is that trust you and source 100% of the time. The second thing is that it's up to you to have your own back to know when to move people out, sometimes put an arm's length, and when to let people in. Now, having said that, and I hope I'm not repeating this from the beginning of the video, but if I am, it's worth repeating. Letting people in doesn't mean that, we are going to not be hurt, because you just can't have relationships in life without pain. They go hand in hand. It's just part of loving someone. There's going to be some pain. Even if it stays a really good relationship, at some point there's going to be some pain. And nobody, I don't want to say nobody. People in general, what I've noticed is I've studied relationships and dealt with lots of relationships and clients having relationships, that people are meant to be in your life for certain times and certain periods. It's rare, very rare, to have the same people right here your whole life. And probably not a great thing if you have a ton of people right here. That's probably saying you're not being probably as discretionary as you need to be. I would say people that have healthy relationships probably have, I would say, 5 to 10 people, and it could be less, that are real close in your inner circle. And there's nothing wrong with that, because some people have the feeling that they need to have a lot of really close friends. That makes them a good person. And they judge themselves by how many friends they have. That's not necessarily true. You need to be your own best friend. And it's fine to have a lot of friends, but if you have a ton, I'm hoping that a good part of them is out here in the acquaintance, because it's usually only a handful of people that are good to be letting out all our innermost secrets and vulnerable feelings. But it's important to learn to do that, and to not have thick walls of abuse where nobody can come in. So my challenge to you is I want you to look, how do you trust? Are you the type that trusts everyone way too soon? You're letting them in and finding them trampling your heart. Are you the type that finds it very difficult to trust people? Like I said, I was one of those people, so it took me a while to learn to trust, especially in relationships, because mine was more of a relationship-based trust, like with significant others. And so at some point, when you meet someone, if you've taken your time to get to know them, and you didn't just let them right on in, because those pheromones, you feel that close connection, to someone, it can trick you into thinking, oh, I can trust this person because, it just feels natural. It feels, well, and sometimes that's true, but con artists are real good at making it feel natural at the beginning. Or, maybe you're trusting them, but in the end, they have so many issues going on that they haven't dealt with. So in the end, that they're not really ready to be in that healthy relationship with you. So you have to look to what's going on in their life, because every relationship comes with a certain amount of baggage, and how are they handling that baggage? So you want to be careful about who you're letting in, but it's important to let people in because you want to experience love. And it's okay to have that really close love with someone, but decide that it's time to move them out a little bit for whatever reason. And then, like I said, you can move them back in. But ultimately, trust is not about trusting others. It's about trusting yourself. Trusting yourself to have your heart, to know that you are going to be a little more careful, but not so careful, just a little more careful with who you're letting in and how far you're letting them in. Okay, hopefully I've been able to teach you a little bit more about having healthy relationships, healthy boundaries, and learning to trust again. And I hope you all have a soul-inspired day. And I will see you next time.